Samiran Ghoshal. A brief introduction. Samiran Ghoshal is currently the chairperson of Indo-Pacific National Committee at the Confederation of Indian Industries. He is a global businessman. He's a global business transformation and digital technology leader with over 2 decades of leadership experience in technology and consulting companies across India, APAC, and EU markets. His past professional associations include IBM, EY, Wipro, Rockwell Automation, SAP, and Tata Steel. At EY, he was instrumental in setting up and scaling the technology consulting practice as one of the founder members of EY Global Technology Consulting Board. He brings with him a deep understanding of energy and utilities, metals, mining, FS, manufacturing, consumer, and e-gov, and technologies like IoT, AI, ML, analytics, AR, VR, etc. He is a graduate from IIT Roorkee and has an MBA in marketing and finance from XLRI Jamshedpur. He is currently a senior partner at Amrock Global. So welcome, Mr. Ghoshal, and you may start with your session. Thank you.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
Okay, yes, Mr. Ghoshal.
Yes, sir.
Okay, so frankly speaking, guys, I was hearing the earlier speakers. They were pretty eminent. Obviously, they have lots of knowledge, much more than me, because I'm more of a practitioner. Okay, and I don't know whether my introduction touched upon the relevant areas which will be of interest to you. So interestingly, I'm also a mechanical engineer. Like Dr. Sarkar said, I am not that long back, but I passed quite a bit, more than 25 years back. So started on the shop floor, because being a mechanical engineer, started on the shop floor in Tata Steel, Jamshedpur, because that was the way in those days. You start as a mechanical engineer, mostly in dealing with machines and the related areas. I was lucky to move into technology in the 90s because that was the time. Then I left India and lived abroad 15 years. I was actually the global head for, I was the vice president head for Wipro's entire energy utilities business globally. And when I came back, what's relevant for you guys is that, interestingly, I was the IBM managing director. I ran IBM's consulting for part of Asia. And I also ran Ernst & Young's entire digital business for most of global emerging markets, including Industry 4.2 and all areas. And presently, interestingly, I am part of the consulting side, as well as I am leading one of the world's largest executive search and board advisory companies called Amrock. We are present. So the touch points why I wanted to elaborate this is that I have been through your journey, what you guys are starting. I have been a practitioner in running large operations. I ran the largest business I ran was more than $500 million. Large teams. I have also consulted in Industry 4.2, and I am today in CII. You projected I have 2 roles in CII. One is the geopolitical area, Indo-Pacific. I am also the co-leader for advanced manufacturing in the nation, which is touching all the areas. So I have been on technology and manufacturing and all for some time. Now, I don't have a presentation because I think you guys have got enough presentations, and I saw the data science presentation earlier, and there were lots of details. I'm sure you guys must be listening to presentations and theory all the time in your college. Probably you guys are more interested in what happens next when you move to the real world, right? That's what probably Dr. Sarkar was trying to tell you the point is. I have lived that life. So I'm also an angel investor. Today I'm an entrepreneur actually. So I have been through the whole journey. So before I start, I sent a message on my text box, and I also asked Rishiraj to press around because I wanted this to be more of an interactive session. It'll be great. It'll be great if I make it interactive. I can walk you through the journey of what's going to happen in jobs, skills, future directions, what I see, where I'm investing, where I'm getting jobs lined up, and where the industry is going. Now, can I ask a few questions and you guys can switch on your camera, tell me, is uh, uh, you are at the end of nearly a 6-7 hours of this entire day today. What exactly do you want to know? Is it about jobs? Because that's obviously at your stage the key motivation. Is it about the future of business, future of industry, where it is going, and being mechanical engineers, and you see the technology coming in, where is that going? Or is it about entrepreneurship? What is it? What do you guys want us to elaborate on? And then I will then discuss. Any comments?
So
Yes,
Hello,
Mr.
sir.
Sri.
yeah,
Yeah.
anybody?
Hello, sir. Am I audible?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, Sushma, you can go.
Sir, yes. I wanted to ask one thing. I have been hearing this statement from my very beginning of my bachelor's that the students that are graduating nowadays are they are not unemployed, they are unemployable. But as my experience goes, when I'm trying to finish my studies, when I'm trying to finish my curriculum, I'm busy with all these event organizations, everything. Like within a blink of eye, the semester passes on, and I never know how to make myself employable. So that is the question I want to ask from you. What can we do from our side to make ourselves employable without knowing what actually the industry wants, without going to the industry, without knowing anything about industry
Sure.
in this academic level?
Okay, got it. So primarily the employability is the issue, I presume, and that probably touches hard skills versus soft skills, both. Okay, good. Any other questions? Any other pointers for me? How many of you want to know about Dr. Sarkar pointed about entrepreneurship? Is that really what Shibpur students want to hear, or primarily it is jobs which is of greater concern for you?
Actually, so speaking on behalf of all the students, there is a diverse group of students, and in our campus here, there is a great number of students who are actually interested in entrepreneurship, and a lot of them, since entrepreneurship is a new concept here, it's just started a few years back. So people have been curious in the field of entrepreneurship, and jobs have always been one of the concerns, and people want to know how to upskill themselves and what is the future of jobs.
Okay. So let me summarize what you said, that entrepreneurship is interesting. That's where the world is going, probably what you hear, but it's still a little more at a curiosity level. The primary issue is around jobs and earnings. These are the key areas which bugs you today, right?
Yes,
Sure.
sir.
I saw somebody else also answer. Tanisha Bagh says earning sufficient fortune is the driving force. Fantastic. Okay. You didn't hear what Dr. Sarkar said. Money shouldn't be the primary motivation, but I hear you. But that's a good way. That's a good way. Anything else? So for fortune. Okay. I'll probably take one more pointers, then I'll probably walk you through a little bit of my thoughts, maybe a little bit of my journey. It'll be interesting. And since I am on quite a bit of innovation councils and advisory committees for others, so I can give points. Anything else somebody wants? No? Okay.
Hello,
Hello,
sir. Rishiraj here.
sir.
So, as we were talking about the future of jobs and okay, Purva, you want to go ahead? You can raise your point.
No, yeah, please go ahead. After you, I will ask.
Go
Okay,
ahead.
sure. So, as we were talking about where the future is headed and where the future of jobs are, invariably the conversation comes up that nowadays people are going more towards IT than mechanical. And there's also the conversation where mechanical is slowly merging with IT in a lot of interdisciplinary fields nowadays. So, it would be great if you could touch upon that as well and,
Sure.
what that merger looks like somewhere in the future.
Sure. I'll do that. Yeah, go ahead, Purva. Let's have the last question.
Okay, sir. Actually, I am not so much into in entrepreneurship. Actually, my question is little different. Like, I want to know about the future of the mechanical engineers who are interested in like research or this type of things. Like, future of these research-minded engineers.
Okay. Maybe when the right time comes, I'll pass that on to Dr. Sarkar. He probably is a better expert on that. But yes, I am involved in a few universities. I can do that. Okay, that's fine. I think I have got the gist of it. Let's get into a little bit of I would keep it more of an interactive session. Let me begin with a few things, and I'll give you a few pointers. Today, interestingly, I'm involved in the CII, which is the largest industry bodies, the National Committee for Advanced Manufacturing, which has got automotive industry guys, process industries, which has got even high tech and all the entrepreneurs and top guys are there. Now, interestingly, we discuss day in, day out about the industry trends, about technology merging into the entire manufacturing and the operation space, and how basically that whole thing is happening. So I'll probably can throw light here a little bit. Okay. Now, let me begin by saying that, see, you guys are graduating in probably the second oldest stream of engineering. I am not an expert here. I presume civil engineering was probably the oldest, maybe from the time of pyramids or even before that. But somebody can obviously claim that the invention of the wheel, was it a mechanical engineer who invented it or somebody who made the road first to get those wheels on, right? So that was the whole question. But probably you are graduating in something which probably has been the gist of the whole engineering concept came from, right? Now, from a practitioner's point of view, this is where, when I went into mechanical engineering 25, 30 years back, the reason I went in because they said it is easiest to get jobs as a mechanical engineer. So that was the reality, and computers were just starting. But it's quite interesting is that those days, engineers were used more to handle operations, more to handle and ensure what we typically used to call as the business as usual setup functions. Factories work, lights get on, the products move out, and the engineers handle the entire operations. Now, from that time, and I remember I actually went over in Jamshedpur and I was sent to the various plants and I became the general foreman on the shop floor. I was lucky, and this is an interesting story, and this is the reason I'm telling the story is, when you pass out, you don't know what is coming at you. Okay, and since you mentioned, I think I don't know who mentioned that, is the employability, right? I think the gentleman was here somewhere. I think it was Trivedi probably. Is the employability which is the issue. The key issues which I would say where I actually helped is when I joined the shop floor, I got pretty bored because I was very innovative. I was always wanting to figure out why it is not working, what's the issue, not keeping track of who is working, how much production happens, and the floor is working. And if everything is working, you don't have any job actually. You just sit down and see everything working. Now, the question is, I was lucky because within a few years, the IT revolution started. And interestingly, Tata Steel started its computerization journey. That's how IBM came back to India. Tata IBM was formed because Tata Steel bought computers from IBM. That's how it was formed. And I had a fight with my general foreman because I was too bored and I used to fight with him about giving me something interesting. And then one day my general manager was a big guy. He called me and said, "Hey, you're not meant for shop floor. You can't do it. Tomorrow, go to that central department and start getting into something called computerization." And I had not studied computerization 30 years back. Those days, it was unusual. You guys can't believe it. It was all cards. You need to print cards and do all that. And I actually started learning floppy disk, hard disk, C programming and all that I started. My dad told me, I taught you mechanical engineering. What the hell are you doing? Okay, I remember that journey. I was lucky. And this was like mid 90s. And then I left India. This was the time when everybody was, Dr. Sarkar went even 15 years before that. But I went with the IT journey. But I always used that shop floor experience, mechanical engineering, innovation, and combined with tech. As I went through the whole journey around slowly getting into tech, then going into client-facing work, then when I went into large P&L driving, I drove very large businesses also. It always helped in consulting, and that naturally drove my entire touch point, because whenever I used to face client, I knew what's happening. I had the pulse of what's happening actually inside factories, operations, businesses, finance, shop floors, inventory, consumer side, everything. Now, when you talk of, I'll touch upon first point on the employability part of it. Guys, the main thing is, you don't know what opportunities you will get 5 years, 2 years, 10 years down the line. The key thing is keep your curiosity going. Keep your soft skills going. Keep learning around that. And just be open. Grasp opportunities as they come. You never know what's going to come to you. And if you are an engineer, why do engineers succeed? It's primarily because we are all curious. We are all analytical. And then analytical skills can be applied anywhere. In front of clients, in a lab, in a project, it's all applicable. So don't worry about employability versus unemployability. As long as you grasp the opportunities coming at you, as long as you're open-minded, use your analytical skills, you guys are best trained to succeed in the world. Just remember that. Be confident, go out in the world. My professor told me, and I remember that, only 5% of what you learn will be used in your life. The problem is you don't know which 5%. So just take it. You are employable, have the confidence. And frankly speaking, guys, you guys are at the best time for any graduate to come out. The economy is in a boom. There is a huge demand side of it. Technology is merging everywhere. And I'm personally leading the charge for one of the largest executive search and placement companies in the world. And I notice how much demand is there. So just get that out of the way. You guys, jobs will be coming at you. It's up to you how you basically be flexible and go ahead with it. So that is one part of it I like to put there. The second part I would like to point out, and this is where probably I heard the gentleman presenting on data science. I was really noticing earlier, Dr. Sarkar presented on the entrepreneurship. The question is that unless you are some business families, most of us are not, whether it is an entrepreneurship journey, whether it is a job journey, it is all becoming pretty muddled up nowadays. Okay. Now, if you are not in that mental scenario of having a fad that I want to become a startup guy, or I want to have my own, I want to become a Bill Gates or a Steve Jobs, the question is that today's graduates passing out will be dabbling in entrepreneurship, intrapreneurship, or some part of innovation areas to work in any way. That is the journey it is. And nowadays, anyway, none of you think about long-term careers. It's quite interesting. I don't see people thinking about long-term careers. So just be innovative. Just have the mindset as if you are owning the business. Always remember this. If you take ownership of the outcome, whether in somebody else's organization or your own organization, by nature, you will be innovative. By nature, you will inculcate all the things Dr. Sarkar said about. Now, just keep going around that and you will get opportunities around it. Now the question is, and this is where probably I'll come to Rishiraj, I think you asked the question about what is the business going to look like for mechanical engineers, for any engineers, or for anybody passing out today. Now I will give you a couple of pointers because I have been dabbling around this. See, the next 10 to 20 years, when you guys will do it, guys will have their careers probably 20, 25 years. You guys may not need to or may not have that long a career probably I had or probably Dr. Shakar had, because things may drastically change. The question is that it is likely that the next 10, 20 years, the number of jobs in core engineering, running operations, core engineering and all that may reduce or may not be that high paying, or it probably, you will have a lot more options around, I would say, a mix of core engineering, come technology, come some new age, deep tech areas and all that. The chances are lots of mergers, lots of amalgamations are going to come. Why? It's because when you're talking from a mechanical engineering point of view, the robotics, the control systems, the embedded devices, connected machines, connected factories, connected products is a reality already. So it may not need so many people to monitor them. Artificial intelligence, the IoT devices, they will do a lot of the jobs, which today engineers are doing it. So you don't need. I used to run, I was doing a transformation for large mines in Australia, and we did entire transformation. I noticed that huge mines are being operated by control towers sitting at the center in a city. Actually, they're not even there in the mines. And the only thing which probably engineers are being told is exceptions, where things are not going right. So the question is, there may not be enough core jobs and high paying jobs because that's the way the world is going. Now, engineers, therefore, you need to be ready to become more problem solver. You will come in more an exception than a rule. What does it mean? And I'm telling you honestly, because I have lived the life. When I started in Jamshedpur, it was more of a process-driven, standard role, standard ways of working. So I've seen engineers used to go to office at 9 in the morning, come back for lunch at 1 o'clock, quietly have a little nap and go back at 2:30, come back at 6, go to the club. That was the cushy life of engineers. I've seen that in the past. Now, the moment you move from that level to more of a problem solver, getting into more of an exception-based working, changing tracks every 5 years, you will probably be having a lot more interesting work to do, but a lot more disruptive work to do. So your employability is how much you can keep learning. In my time already, I have changed like 3 or 4 careers, tracks I have changed in my 30 years of work. Okay. Dr. Sharka's time probably, he was lucky he went to the academics. Otherwise, normally it was, so it probably not, your age, you can imagine every 5-6 years, you have to keep changing yourself, keep learning. Frankly speaking, that should worry you, that should excite you. Because I will be bored to death if I have to do the same damn thing for 5 years plus. So frankly speaking, as long as you are inquisitive, keep learning, try to do new things, you will be not only employable, you probably will make fortune which you can't even imagine. I was very lucky. I came at the right time, had a global experience, and then I would say I made enough fortune because I probably was lucky, went through the track. You guys are luckier, but the track is you have to be forever. The biggest employability, the biggest way to make the fortune is take risks, keep learning, keep trying new things. The world is actually going to need a lot more engineering skills guys, lot more analytics guys. You don't know where all it is going to happen. It is fascinating because I have been in my past role where I was the Asia Pac head for digital for IBM and Rockwell Automation, the combination. I actually led the entire Industry 4.0 for IBM and Rockwell Automation across Asia Pac. So China was under me, to Japan, Korea, Australia. China, the amount of innovation they had done and they are doing it is amazing. And their engineers are all well-rounded engineers. So they have guys who understand the tech part of it, data part of it, AI part of it, and mechanical or chemical or civil together. Now, those are the skills we require. Unfortunately, I don't know whether our colleges give that well-rounded exposure, whether our colleges give you the skills to be more of a learning guy, more of a softer skills. You miss that. As long as you do that, employability, making of money, building a great career, believe me, will not be an issue. I had a great time last 25 years. You guys have a better time going ahead. I wish I was 20 years younger. It'll be much more interesting. It'll be interesting times. So keep learning around that. Couple of points I want to give, and this is why probably I notice, and I've been involved, and this is the reason I asked the question about Shibpur is I'm actually in the Innovation Council for my own college, IIT Roorkee. I'm in the Innovation College, a couple of IIMs, plus some other NITs also. Now, interestingly, some of those colleges are stronger or pretty strong in this whole, I would say, the actualization of innovation. So that their innovation councils are a lot more into industry connects, startup connects, actually getting funding lined up. I'm on the Indian Angel Network, so you can also link out, and there are lots of these fundings that are happening. I don't know about Shibpur, but the key thing is that advanced manufacturing, IoT, Industry 4.0 areas, connected machines, connected devices, connected factories, frankly speaking, it is still not that much of an in thing what you hear about, let's say, a edutech or a fintech or a e-commerce and all that. So frankly speaking, you guys are lucky. This is a wave which is coming. If you talk about a fintech, if you talk of a e-commerce, if you talk of probably even today, edutech is a given thing. These are already waves where the unicorns and the unicorns and all those things have already happened or happening. So if you guys pick the signals right, the next 5 years will belong to now. This entire, I would like to put the word of connected concept, connected machines, connected factories, connected products, the entire how data and AI will be used around cognitive intelligence to be imparted to smart buildings, smart products, smart factories, smart cars. It is going to happen. It is still happening. It is a early situation. So frankly speaking, that's another area. If you guys keep your eyes open and move into, when you talk about, I think Nishiraj, you asked about a question of IT and mechanical, the combination. Frankly speaking, again, you're at the right time at the right place. Learn more of these areas. Be open to these things. If you join a large company, figure out how you can actually influence or play a role around either implementing those, strategizing those, figuring those out. If you are getting into a startups or smaller areas, figure out startups which are playing here in robotics, in IoT, in AI or data for connected devices and Industry 4.0, because that's what is going to come to you, and you are at the right time. And catch the wave early. Take risk, catch the wave early. Don't worry about it, because in my career, somebody told me the first 5 to 10 years is when you learn. In your case, it will be shorter. I had probably 8 to 10 years to learn. But 5 to 7 years is where you learn that you basically apply those skills, apply those learnings. So next 5-7 years, just experiment. There is enough jobs in the marketplace. Keep learning. Don't worry about going for the best job which gives you the most money now. Figure out which jobs and which areas will probably set you up for maximum learning for tomorrow. Make a combination of areas which uses your production and manufacturing engineering skills and technology skills and data skills and the deep tech skills. You will be setting yourself up for a lot more interesting things in the future. Okay, so that is the second point. One last comment I like to make, and this is probably my advice to you guys, because I'm dealing with lots of tech companies, lots of industrial companies. Now, the question is that today, core engineers are being employed, are being demanded for by core tech companies, the Wipros and the TCSs and the IBMs and the Accentures, as well as the back office setups. Why? Because they're investing into ER&D. They're investing into devising, building connected products, a IoT area, AI and data for the manufacturing setup. Now, you can get jobs in the IT setup, but retaining a connection to your core skills. Or if you join a core company like a Tata Steel or a Unilever or a Reliance or any of the large setups or smaller ones, also figure out how you can combine your new tech skills as well as the old mechanical engineering skills. If you can do that, you probably will stay very relevant. And rest, my last comment will be is that you don't know what opportunities come to you. You don't know what you learn and what you go through. And believe me, all of you will have different journeys. You're coming out at the right time. And whether you become a unicorn founder, or you become a CEO somewhere, or you become, as the lady asked about research-minded, believe me, research-minded people are in huge demand today. And you can't believe, I can tell you the sort of salaries I'm getting. I'm lining up people for jobs around chief of architecture, chief product and technology officers. They're getting $1 million salaries also. I've seen that. So even research-oriented people are very employable, because that's the way the market is going. So in short, be confident you are very employable. You're coming at the right time. Have the learning skills lined up. Have curiosity lined up. Combine new age skills versus your core engineering skills, and you will make a fortune. You will have a fantastic career, and I'm sure all of you will get multiple opportunities as the next few years roll out. Okay, I'll stop there. I don't know whether I went a little extempo, whether I was fully relevant or not, but I spoke out of my own experience and what I see in the marketplace. Open to any questions, or moving on to the next one.
Thank you, Mr. Ghoshal. That was very informative, encouraging, and impactful. Believe me, we really needed to hear that out. We will be dealing with the questions later during the panel discussion. Right now, we would like to move ahead with the next